Hello students, welcome to the online session. What the subject of industrial safety? We have started module number 3. We have completed module number 1 and module number 2. Yes. So we already started module number 3 where we have discussed the wears, types of wears, causes of the wears, effect of the wear on the machine, then method to reduce the wears. Then we have already discussed the lubrication, types of lubrication, methods for the lubrication. So this all thing is been discussed in the previous sessions. So today we will proceed further in the module number 3. That is the type of the corrosion. In the last session we have discussed about the corrosions. So now we are discussing about the type of corrosion. So here is the list of the corrosion. We have uniform corrosion, we have pitting corrosion, transgranular and intragranular, intercrystalline corrosion, then exfoliation corrosion, then stress corrosion, crevices corrosion, galvanic corrosion, and erosion. So these are the types of the corrosion. Now let's discuss brief in for this such kind of corrosion. So first type is uniform corrosion. The name only suggests when the corrosion is being occurred in a uniform way. Means we can say that when a pit is been formed on the surface and that is having a small diameter, and in particular we can say that the depth will be in micrometers mm, that will result in a uniform corrosion only when the decrease in the thickness, you can see over here that the thickness decrease in the thickness is uniform. For example, if the 3 thickness is being depth of the thickness of the corrosion is 3 then it will be uniform over the whole length. So when such kind of corrosion takes place, then we can say that the uniform corrosion has occurred. The mainly we can say that the loss in the we can say that to what extent or the rate of the corrosion that has occurred can be easily, easily found with the help of by measuring the mass of loss or the quantity of the released hydrogen. This is how the corrosion takes place. Next is pitting corrosion. Pit that only suggests that the pit has been formed. This is basically a localized form of corrosion, and in this corrosion, basically the irregular shaped cavities are formed on the surface. Some cavities are being formed. The depth and the dimension of the cavities mainly depends upon the, or we can say that they are related to the metal, the medium, and the surface condition. Means what is the type of the metal, which medium the corrosion has occurred, and the surface condition. It is means unlike to the uniform corrosion, here the intensity and the rate of the corrosion can neither be assessed by the mass of the loss or the by measuring the released hydrogen. Pitting corrosion is generally characterized by its density, that is the number, mainly three criteria, that is the density, that is the number of pits per unit area, and the rate of the deepening and the probability of the pit. Here we can say that the pits are formed, there are mainly two pits are formed and both are having the different depths. So by this we can say that the pitting corrosion has occurred because it is different location and it is depth is also varying from each other. Next is transgranular and intragranular intercrystalline corrosion. So it is certain different types of corrosion where the corrosion propagates in different. Corrosion is propagating in different ways. Here the corrosion is spreading in all the direction, and it will indirectly affect the metallurgical properties of the constituent. Okay, so there is no selective corrosion, means irregular expansion of the corrosion will takes place. So when irregular spreading of the corrosion takes place, then such kind of corrosion is termed as the transgranular or transcrystalline corrosion, because it is propagating within the grains. Next is exfoliation corrosion. Here we can see the picture of the exfoliation corrosion. Means exfoliation corrosion means basically it is a number of planes are formed that are running parallel to the direction of the rolling or the extrusion. So when such kind of corrosion takes place, means when the corrosion is parallel to the line or rolling or the extrusion, then we can say that exfoliation corrosion is taken place. Here between these planes, many, here we can say that the two planes are being there, and between them there are small thin sheets of sound metals that are not attacked but gradually pushed away from because of the swellings. They are pushed away because of the swelling, and peeling off has taken place, and hence we can say that when the peeling off or the expansion has taken place of the corrosion line, then we can say that the exfoliation corrosion has occurred. Here the metal will generally swell, and that will result into a spectacular form of the corrosion. Next is the stress corrosion. The name only suggests stress. The stress means you can see that corrosion is also under the stress, and generally the stress is mainly because of the loading, and loading, because of the loading mechanical stresses are developed, and hence we can say that the stress corrosion is generally formed because of the bending and the tension and the corrosive environment. So because of this mechanical and stresses, the corrosion can take place. We all know that once the corrosion takes place, then its load taking capacity will be reduced, and if it is already being stressed because of the loading, and if the tension, the compression has occurred, then there is a further reduction in the strength or the load taking capacity of the metal, and then as a result corrosion takes place, and that is the corrosion, that is the stress corrosion. Each of these parameters would not have significant effect on the resistance of the metal and would have not effect at all. Crevice corrosion. Crevice means cracks, and generally the cracks are being found near the joints, means near the riveting, near the bolting, near joints under various deposits. So when this kind of crevices are found because of the corrosion, then such kind of crevices is termed as the crevice corrosion. They are very much thin, they are very much tiny, it is very much difficult to identify that where these crevices are. Okay, and then generally the fluid that is flowing through that pipe will get spill out, and the covering will not be able to make a continuous flow, so it will spoil outside the pipe, and as a result this fluid will come in contact with the surface, and once it comes in contact with the surface, then corrosion will take place. So the corrosion when occur by this, then we can say that such corrosion is termed as the crevice corrosion. Next is galvanic corrosion. So mainly the galvanic corrosion mainly takes place because of the dissimilarity of the metal on the surface. So when the two surfaces that are dissimilar to each other are in direct contact with the conducting liquid, or experience shows that one of the two may get corroded. Here we can say that there is a two metal that are of different properties, so less noble metal has got corroded. So such kind of the corrosion that is taking place because of such conditions is termed as the galvanic corrosion. One metal here will get corroded, but the another metal will not get corroded. Another metal will be protected. So yes, the corrosion, this corrosion is different from another's, and the intensity of the one corrosion will not affect the intensity of the occurrence of the another. Means both are individual. If one part of substance has got corroded, then the another part will not get corroded because the first part has got corroded. So there is no interrelation between the two surfaces for getting being corroded. They are individually getting corroded. Next is erosion. Erosion, so when the corrosion is taking place because of the fast moving particles, when the fast moving particles comes in contact with the surfaces, then some delamination of the surface will get takes place because of the abrasion or the fast moving of the particles. When the surface is get come in, when the particle comes in contact with the surface, then some part of the surface will move out or it get delaminated. So there will be a depressions form because of this moving particle. So when such kind of corrosion is taking place, then it is termed as the erosion. And mainly the main factor that is causing this is the speed in the flow. Okay, this mainly takes place in the scratches, gullies, undulations, pipes where flow of water or the sludge or the soil water is taking place and which has many particles, many solid particles into it. So ultimately, the pipes, the surface, inner surface will get corroded. Ultimately, the road taking capacity of that pipes will get reduced. So this is Professor Akash R. Suthar. You are in the online session for the subject of industrial safety. Thanks for attending my session. See you in the next session.